So like, honestly, in any starter, I recommend going B2B first.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you're roofing or, you know, even trying to sell solar or whatever, B2B is the fastest way to get yourself like any revenue generating.
And why is that? Why do you feel that way?
So the reason why I feel that way is
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to be here with my friend Hung. My name is Nate. I will be the guest podcast host for today, and I get to interview Hung Nguyen with Detach Reset Solar. Hung, how are you?
good, man. Super excited to be here. You know, obviously talking to you and stuff. So
Yeah, and go ahead and say what brings you out here in Utah right now.
Yeah, so we're actually doing the deep dive right now with D2D, and then it's going to be a big booth at D2D Con.
So you are one of the vendors for the event, Door to Door Con.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're a vendor.
And you've been involved with Door to Door Con and Sam Taggart and his team for how long now?
So last October was when we joined, not 2024, but 2023.
Okay.
So 2023 October was when we first joined, and so we joined like a week before Tahiti.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good timing. Then you got to go on that international trip with them.
Yep, exactly. So when we were traveling and everything, everybody was like, "Hi, hello." Everybody's like showing all this love, and we're like, "I don't know anybody."
That was still when you're getting to know the whole team. That's awesome.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So a little bit just about you personally, your background before we get into just some of the things about your business. I just found out from you that you did have some door-to-door experience before getting involved with Sam and his door-to-door crew.
Yeah.
What kind of door-to-door experience did you have?
So it was actually when I was 18 years old. You know, I had, I don't know if you guys know him, but he was one of the owners from Solgen.
Okay.
And he came out there with his business partner at the time too. I don't think they were actually in business yet, but they were the managers, and they were like doing the whole boiler room act, you know, where Ben Affleck, you know, he like slides the keys across, like, and here, you want Ferrari? You want like Armani suit?
That was how they recruited you. They showed you the
like,
highlights.
Yeah, I want that.
Yeah. And young 18-year-old impressionable, you're like, yes,
exactly.
I'm in. Sign me up. What do I got to do?
100%. So I was like, I'm skipping college to my parents. I'm going to go do door to door. And they're like, why the heck would you do that? Like, you would definitely get better education if you went to school and all these things. And that could be like the furthest from the truth, right? Like, door to door is the hardest thing like you can ever do.
It is incredibly difficult. And, you know, honestly, it's the best education, I believe, that, you know, at least for entrepreneurs, it's one of the best educations you can get.
100%. 100%. So, yeah, I've been doing door to door for, so from 18 to about 22, 23, I was door to door. So wow. 5 years of my life. Yeah.
So yeah, any victories, wins, like what, or just education, like what came from that for you that shaped you for where you are today?
There's so much, right? Like door to door is so mentally tough. Like you're actually dealing with every weather, right? Yeah. So the first year I was knocking in Chicago, which early year, freezing, and I'm not used to.
What product at this time were you selling?
I was selling alarms at the time. Yeah. And so we went into Chicago, and you know, I'm from Colorado, so it's like, oh, dude, it's gonna be no problem. The cold, I don't mind, but humidity cold is a different level.
It just hits you deep.
It's dude, it's bone chilling. And we were like wearing thick jackets and stuff, but it was so freaking cold. And we were like, why are we out here? Why are we knocking this door?
Yeah, but you stuck to it.
Yeah, dude. And then during the summertime, it's way too hot, right? So like the first thing I learned was mentally toughness, right? Like the fortitude that you have to actually have in order to knock a door. Yeah. Like, man, it's nerve wracking. Like, I'm like, how do I speak? Like, am I too fast? Am I too slow? Like, this is my first door. And every single day I went onto the door, even like to this day, if I knocked on the door, there's the butterflies that come out, right? It's like the nervousness.
Still happens this many years later. When is the last time you knocked a door? In your current position, door knocking's not really a large part of what you do today, correct?
No. So the last time I knocked a door was actually in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we got to get you back out there. That's what we're saying. All right, Sam, if you're hearing this, Hung wants to go knock some doors. So let's get him out there.
Yeah. But no, I remember, so I knocked doors to buy houses as well, right? So I did real estate and all that other stuff. So I did pretty much sold everything, internet to security to knives to phone lines.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then I bought houses too, like, real estate agent. I used to teach people how to do that too, right? So, but yeah, it was always that first house. You knock on that door and it's just like extreme nervousness comes up, all these butterflies, and you're just like, oh man. But then right after you knock and they open the door, the panic attack goes away.
Melts away.
Yeah.
And you can just be like, oh, it is a human on the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
All the fears just
well, like they teach you have to be like super aggressive and like especially alarms, like, oh yeah, hey, do you have a slider door in the back? Oh yeah, let's go take a look real quick.
You just walk right
past them.
Yeah. And this is where your panel's gonna go right here, and just put a knife in the wall. My installer's on the way. He'll get this all hooked up.
He'll fix it for you. No worries. Yeah. He has to cut a hole here anyways, and then put the panel.
I've always heard stories of that. If any rep has actually ever done that, like, write to me. I would love to hear about that. That sounds fascinating to me.
Dude, super aggressive, man.
Yeah, for sure. So those early door-to-door experiences obviously taught you grit, taught you perseverance, and how to talk to people. That's an important skill in any business. What were you doing before you started your current business, Detach and Reset?
So I was doing real estate before that, and then I had a really bad partnership happen. And then from there, I decided I'm going to go do something completely different, right? So I couldn't stand door anymore. I couldn't stand the whole real estate side anymore. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm going into automation and automation consulting. So all I did for the next, from 2019 to 2022, all I did was automation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any type of automation specifically, or just
no, just
in general,
like
just any business automation, anything that's going to help somebody be more productive and help streamline their processes? Yep. Okay.
Exactly. Streamline processes. Like most of the times I'm like, I build systems, and they're like, what the heck is a system? Is that a system?
And then you're like automation.
Yeah, exactly. So then I had to change it. It's like operational automation is what basically I called it.
Love that. That makes you extremely valuable in your own business and setting up all of your systems. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that business. Those who've listened to this podcast for years may have heard some of your past podcasts about Detach Reset Solar. When was that started, and how did that idea come about?
So I was actually doing automation stuff at the time, and I was still doing a little bit of real estate. And my business partner, Hunter Adams, he basically had the house that I was going to buy. It was a duplex, and I was like, oh man, this looks great. Like maybe we can do Airbnb or whatever. And while I was there talking to him, he's like, hey man, I've been knocking doors trying to sell roofs, and we can't sell a roof with solar on top. And so he's like, I got this brilliant idea, man. So we started off just like that, right? Just doing the most basic things, just taking the panels off, letting the roofers re-roof, and then we put them back on. And I was like, that sounds like a brilliant idea.
Somebody will pay us for this. Let's figure this out.
How do you get paid for it? He's like, insurance covers everything. And I'm like, interesting.
So even from the very beginning, that kind of monetization model of billing insurance for that work, that was always existing in the business.
Yeah, exactly. So day one we started, and we got our first bid out. Insurance covered the whole thing, and at the time, the insurance was paying us direct. But now, like, because of the scams and all that stuff, they pay the homeowners, and then the homeowners can then divvy the money out, right? But either way, it's being done through insurance.
So how many years ago now was the start of this business?
So we started this, actually, it's just the 5-year anniversary just happened. So it was the 3rd of January of 2020. So right before COVID.
Awesome. Yeah, great timing. But congratulations on 5-year anniversary. That's huge. Most businesses do not make it that long. So I'm sure, as you know, so congratulations. Yeah. What has evolved in those 5 years of your business besides just growth in general? Is that still the main focus and area that you operate in, or do you have additional revenue streams in your company now?
So, we basically grew into, because when we do the detach and the reset, we basically were just doing that, and we didn't know too much about solar. We just started out, and Hunter went to solar school, and he didn't know much either.
Yeah, he was roofing at the time. Okay,
exactly. Yeah. So when we first did the job, we were like, oh shoot, we have to know what the inverter is because we have to know how to turn it off.
Yeah.
And then we have to know, oh shoot, is this inverter connected to a battery? Because we didn't do that. And then, you know, if it negatively charges, the battery just dies.
Ruin somebody's equipment. Yeah.
we didn't know anything. Right. And so like when we first started, we were like, oh shoot, we actually have to know solar.
So how long was that learning curve to learn what you needed to learn?
So I actually started building out the systems to learn all these things like the first year. But then we had a third partner at the time. His name was Mark. And I hated the guy.
Oh, no.
I hated his guts. So I sold 100% of my shares to Hunter and Mark. And so Hunter and Mark owned the company.
So you actually exited the company.
I exited.
Okay. I feel like there's a great story here.
Yeah. So I exited the company and I didn't come back until 2022. Like, so end of October 2022 when I first came back. And Hunter's like, hey, if you build out the systems and do this properly and stuff like that, I'll allow you to earn back your 50% of the company. And that's basically what happened. Wow. But that was when I first started doing it, and I started learning like extremely fast. Like, so that year we went from 1.6 million to 10.3 million
Huge
in 1 year in 2023.
And is a lot of that because of those system automations and things that you built out inside of the company?
Yep, exactly. And it allowed us to do a lot of stuff, identify a lot of stuff that we were doing. So like at the time, you know, because like I said, we had to learn about solar and stuff, we actually became full EPC.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So we were running, you know, everything, right? Engineering, procurement, everything. And
the construction.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And after I ran the numbers over and over, I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, let's get out and let's just focus on this. And then we added on another revenue. It was just solar maintenance. So we started taking on every maintenance call of people.
Yes.
Most companies didn't realize that there was a maintenance. Yeah. For years, solar has been sold out in the industry as maintenance free. There's no moving parts. You know, nothing's ever going to go wrong. 25-year warranty. And there's still some companies out there saying like critter guards are scams and stuff.
Oh, wow. Interesting. And as we know, that is not the case. There is maintenance required. Sometimes parts fail. Sometimes installation workmanship fails.
Exactly. It's like, so there's some big companies out there and internal teams. If the system is chewed up, they won't touch it. It says in their contract that it voids all of their warranty. Chewed up,
when you say chewed up, you mean by
critters?
Actual like animals getting underneath the panels, chewing the wires. Okay. Yep.
And so like most people don't know this, but the PV wire is actually made of soy. So you think about it, right?
It attracts animals.
So it's like, oh wait, soy, it's a food product. It's also green, right? So I mean, in a way, it's good because like it's recycling certain things that, you know, is abundant of, right?
Sure.
But in turn,
creating a temptation for these animals that are living under solar panels.
Exactly. So believe it or not, we've seen raccoons under there. We've seen squirrels. We've seen it. And raccoons don't just sit up there either. They burrow too, right? So they damage the roof. They actually chew and chew and chew until they get into the attic too.
Wow. Wow. So having them living under solar panels, bad idea.
Yeah.
So if you are a solar customer listening to this and you do not have critter guard or that netting around your panels that prevents birds or different animals from getting under your panels, it's a good idea to do that. And I imagine they can contact Detach and Reset Solar to get that installed onto their system.
Yes, they can.
Regardless of who installed their solar.
100%.
You're out there to service any of these customers.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. What markets right now do you service? Because this last year you've expanded into some new markets.
This last year, we didn't really expand into new markets. We just tried to stabilize the ones that we had. So we're in Colorado, Texas, and Florida.
Okay.
Currently, but we started expansion in 2023.
Okay.
And then 2024 was more stabilization.
Yeah.
And then this year we're planning on expanding again. So we're going to expand to probably Illinois, Massachusetts, and one more market, but we're not sure yet.
Well, when we know, we'll announce it. That sounds like a fun little teaser for a future podcast episode.
Right.
So as far as just your expansion plans and your model and how it works today for you guys, how do you identify those markets? Like what makes a good solar market for Detach and Reset Solar? Like you guys are in kind of this niche of service. and of working with roofers to remove panels, allow the roofing to happen, and then reinstall the panels. Today, you still are not selling any panels. You're not doing installs for any sales dealerships out there. This is all just basically B2B and some direct to consumer when they're calling for service.
100%. So our expansion obviously comes from density of solar.
Okay.
Right. So, and then age. Right. But then we also threw in another factor, and it's basically how often a roof needs to be changed. Right. And so the markets that we go to are essentially markets that have storm, right?
Yep. Insurance
whether
work.
it's windows or not, like wind damage, hail damage, or whatever, right? Like hurricane, for example, in Florida.
Yeah.
Or Texas.
Yeah. As far as, you guys are headquartered in Colorado.
Yep.
There you do get a lot of hail storms. A lot of roofs are bought by insurance companies through hail damage. Now moving into a market like a Florida, drastically different climate, different roof types. Like, how did you overcome those challenges? And were those challenges for you?
Yeah, they were huge challenges, right? So like, as you know, in Colorado and probably Utah, same thing. We use these things called tile hooks to install. In Florida, they use a different tile. So they don't use the same tile where it's just the thing with the nail on the top.
Right.
It's double screwed, and then it's foamed on the bottom. So it's almost permanent.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
And the reason why they did it that way is because of hurricane. So
to withstand the hurricane force winds.
Exactly.
They attach the tile differently.
So they're building these things for like 300 mile an hour wind uplift, right? But honestly, like, hurricane only gets like 150, 160 max. Or whatever. So it's almost double the specs.
It's overbuilt for sure.
Yeah. So we had to, like, when we first started, we tried to install a tile hook and we kept failing inspections, and the tiles keep breaking, and these tiles are like 3 or 4 times more, right?
More expensive than traditional roofing tiles. Okay.
Because the labor, right? Like you have to foam it down, you have to then do 2 screws, and
takes a lot longer.
Yeah. And they're more durable too.
Yeah.
So we had to change from hooks to posts, and then we had to figure out how to foam around it, seal it up again, and then install, right?
It's very interesting.
Yeah, every single market has its own challenges and different systems, different racking and everything else, right? Like, for example, Colorado is huge on Tesla, so there's a lot of railless systems. So Colorado installers are used to railless, but like, for example, Texas, they're not used to that, right?
Everything's rail.
Yeah. So they're more like, and of course we always have to deal with other things. Like, for example, like Colorado is more, like I said, Tesla. So we're dealing with pucks. So if it's like Texas, for example, you're dealing with like Pegasus.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with the goopy stuff, and like all your tools and materials get damaged because we didn't know what it was. We're like, oh shoot, we're like having all this goop and tar, like all this stuff on our impacts and stuff.
Yep. So there's a learning curve, and you can't just take your installers from one market who know one system, move them into another market, and think that they're just going to have success.
100%. And same thing with Texas too. Like Texas is built like their roofs. I think it's because of heat. I can't remember the actual reason, but their roofs are like this. So majority of the time you're actually installing on 12-12, 11-12.
Just incredibly steep roofs.
Yeah, you're talking like standing straight up.
Yeah. the type that solar installers love to get on, right? It's just easy for them. They can do those so fast.
It's crazy, man. So yeah, like sometimes we'd have to get like boom lifts and stuff like that. And like sometimes there's no access, and then it's like 4 stories high. And we're like, how the heck did they?
Yeah. So a job that in Colorado would take your crew, half a day to do, in Texas now you're 2 days,
exactly,
with tons of added expense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, you can't take one crew. Well, you can take one crew to the next, as long as they're like extremely talented.
Yeah. And they're the type that can learn any system.
Yeah, but they always get frustrated, right? It's like, oh, but I could have done like 4 jobs in Colorado by the time I did 1 in Texas,
Yeah.
And so their pay significantly drops, and so then we have to incentivize them a different way, like more gas money on per diem, or
whatever incentives they need to go get the jobs done and be motivated. Yeah.
Exactly.
As far as scaling your company, because it is so different in every market, whose job is it in your company to make sure you guys know what you are doing in that market, right? Like if you're expanding to some new markets this year, from what you have learned now, like how will you guarantee success going in there now versus having to learn the hard way in the other markets?
So we've actually expanded and had multiple people in place now. So in the past, it was always, oh yeah, let me fly out there for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then let me figure out all the systems and all that stuff and then expand
You
that way.
being like you.
Myself.
Actually
like
you.
Me.
Okay, I see.
Me flying out there without my family for like, living out there for like a month, or like I send my chief of construction out there for a couple months.
Yeah.
And then him actually learning it and then we doing all that. But now we have multiple people in place, right? Like we have a chief of expansion, for example. Yeah. And all he does is figure out what the state requirements are. Like, is this, like, for example, Illinois doesn't have a statewide license.
Interesting.
Each city holds their own.
So each city you have to go get a license.
Exactly.
Yeah. Colorado's similar.
But you have a master
license that oversees the whole
state.
thing, and then you just have to get like a business license in each of the cities that you're operating in.
Exactly.
Colorado. Okay.
So yeah, it's like a city license based off of the main one. But in Illinois, it's not. So like if I had one in Chicago, it won't communicate to the next city.
Oh, wow. That's a little bit difficult as far as, finding customers and getting there. It sounds like your strategy would be more to stay in that one area or a few surrounding areas and really try to stay a little bit more centralized, I'd imagine. Yeah,
exactly. But you also like, so we have to figure out what obviously the compliances and stuff like that. But then afterwards, we also have to test out what the actual panels are, right? Mm-hmm. Like for example, Hawaii, when we went down there to check it out, we found out that water heater panels are required on every single house.
Oh, wow.
So now we have to learn how to do thermal panels rather than
wow
PV, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with Florida. They have a lot of pool panels to heat up their pools instead of just PV too.
Yeah. Yep. So we run into that in Nevada all the time as well. People have their pool heaters, water up there on the roof. Oftentimes in the place that's like the most ideal for the solar panels to go. And so as a past solar rep, I love getting those off of those roofs and putting on solar panels instead. But
I mean, if you think about it, like we have to figure out, so we do all the maintenance on all of it. So it's not just electrical anymore. And once we get into some markets, we got to get plumbing licenses and
wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Do you have to have any general contracting licenses in any of the states that you operate in?
We do.
Wow.
Like Colorado actually requires us to have general contractors license. Yeah.
So the barrier to entry to do what you do is not like the smallest thing. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's not the smallest. However, there's like any other industry, there's a lot of people out there that are just like the handyman or whatever, and so they're like the handyman Joe in a truck or whatever.
Doing it unlicensed and just going around competing with you.
Exactly.
Saying, I can do it for cheaper. You're like, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck, homeowner, if they run into issues.
Yeah. And that's the thing is most people don't understand that, right? Like, some of our clients are just like, oh no, I can just use this guy over here and he can do it for like a fourth of your price. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's great. But you realize that these solar systems can be anywhere from 20,000 to 60,000. And so the bigger the company, they used to brag to it. And I was like, okay, cool. You're doing 250 detaches and resets every year.
Yeah.
Imagine $60,000 multiplied by 250. Now that's your liability. If that company messed up, guess who's going out of business?
Yeah, that's big.
It's not that company because they probably can't sustain it, but it's probably you because now you're eating up all that and you're licensed for your roofing and all that other stuff. The general contractors, general liability, and all these things are on the line, right? Because they're not gonna know who you subbed out. It's your own responsibility for subbing these guys out.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing most people don't realize. So
yeah, that's fascinating. So in a former job of mine, I was working as an executive at a big EPC, regional player, One Solar. And I met you, and I remember, this was about 2 years ago, I remember hearing what your company does. And the name of it, obviously, Detach Reset, is a phenomenal name because it says exactly what you do. But I remember asking you, like, wait, but but that's all you do, like just the detach and reset. Like for me, even in the industry, in the same space as you, I did not recognize like the scale and the opportunity that you were super early into as like a company founder. How many detach and resets, you know, did you do last year, 2024?
In 2024, so total jobs. So we always count a job as a detach and a reset.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just the maintenance side or diagnostics, right? But we did a total about 7,800.
Wow.
I believe.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's not just like, you know, a couple people needed their panels removed for a roof. Like as solar continues to grow and as the government continues to subsidize it and more homeowners have solar panels up on their roof, like this is going to be even more of a need. This is a growing, you know, industry that you have kind of been early adopter, early founder of, the detach and reset. And now you've mentioned service a couple times as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you think about it, like in this industry, everybody's just thinking, oh, how can I install more panels? How can I sell more panels? Right. But just so in 2023, solar kind of took a big hit, and in 2024, it was like way worse.
Yep. Yeah. I remember 2023 thinking, oh, 2024 is going to get better. Like it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then it did not get better.
Yeah. So you're looking at these big companies and, you know, like SunPower, they're one of the most recognized brands. They used to be manufactured. Oh, I'm American made.
Yeah.
They went out, and then Titan, right?
Thousands and thousands of homeowners, customers out there.
Yeah.
Now without an installer or, you know, their company that installed their system to come and service them.
Right. And Hunter actually had a good vision way before like most of these people did, right? Like, he's like, there's all these new solar companies or new solar systems getting installed, but what happens when they're all gone, right? Like EcoMark and like Pink Energy and like all these other guys, they started going out one at a time. And he's like, nobody's going to be there to catch them when they just go out, right? And so he's like, we got to get in that area.
So you saw the need for it super early on. Also, you saw through maybe some of the solar sales guys, you know, BS saying that the systems don't need any maintenance.
Yeah.
And you've been able to form, honestly, from the outside looking at it, a very impressive business. Like that's something that I've admired for a couple of years now. And it's been, you know, when I talk about that space, you guys are the top for sure. You know, not very many people focus on that, but even of the companies that I know that are in that space, they definitely aren't doing it to the scale that you guys are or to the profitability that you guys are. So it's been an impressive thing to watch your journey and to see that growth happen from an outsider. But,
thanks, man.
Yeah. And so really, what were the biggest obstacles? Like, I just think of this company now that's existed 5 years. You've obviously weathered some storms. The solar industry going down in 2023, 2024, that's more of a positive thing, I would imagine, for your business, you know, because if those installers are going out of business, more and more homeowners are going to be looking and they're going to find, you know, your company to be able to come and service them. So the same problems that have affected the solar industry have maybe helped your business. What are some of the hardships? What are some of the obstacles that you guys encountered, and especially maybe in the early days?
So a lot of the hardships actually came from us not knowing like all the details, like because there was no book on maintaining a solar.
Right. Yeah.
like you mentioned, like everybody else like out there was just like, no, there's no maintenance. If you buy a solar system, there's practically no. Yeah, you have 25-year warranties. Yep. Your system will never break. You'll actually recover your money in X amount of time, et cetera, et cetera. But that could have been furthest from the truth, right?
Yeah.
So once maintenance started happening, and you can see companies just started crumbling one at a time, right? Just on the sheer fact of how much maintenance was there. So once they started going away, then obviously somebody had to step in. And luckily, most of the manufacturers still maintain some of the warranties. And so for penetration and labor, then we would actually then cover the, you know, once we touch the system, then we'll cover it for another 10 years. So.
Oh, wow. So by coming and doing your services on the home, you are really extending their warranty. You're giving them a warranty that they most likely don't have because chances are their installer's out of business.
100%.
Wow.
So it's like, oh yeah, SunPower is supposed to cover this. Oh, well, SunPower's out of business. Like, who's going to cover it, right? Yeah. There's other big companies out there, and I don't really want to name drop them, but really, like they basically come out and, you know, like, somebody tries to call them, their customer service sucks. Yeah. 11 months later, they still haven't gotten any phone calls back. They don't know what to do. Like their roof is leaking. Yeah. We had a situation where this lady, her roof actually fell onto her bed, on her master bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah. And
like, everything just collapsing, crumbling in from the drywall, all the insulation from the attic, everything just coming inside.
It starts off with a slow leak, but you know, eventually that leak becomes bigger and bigger until it collapses, right? Yep. Luckily, she wasn't home, so it just fell on her bedroom. But man, like imagine coming home and not being able to sleep on your own bed. Wow. Right. So like before, you know, we realized like, you know, like we had to get on with the big EPCs and all these other guys. Yeah. So that way we can maintain their warranty. We were just doing the work, right? And this is what most DNR companies actually do, is they just do the work and they're like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Right. But when we started doing that, we actually told people too, right? In the beginning, we're like, hey, listen, when you called us, what happened? What was your experience, right? Yeah. They're like, oh, there was somebody that actually answered the phone. Yeah. Oh, shoot, this company actually has a customer service department. Yeah. And so when they're like, oh, but you ruined my warranty with these big companies, I'm like, but would you rather have a company that was responsive and actually can take care of you and it's local to your actual house? Or would you rather have this giant conglomerate that doesn't respond to emails or text messages or phone calls for 11 months? Yeah. Right? Yep. And so people are like, oh, you're right. Yeah. So
interesting. So walk me through, you know, you start the company, Hunter approaches you, has this idea. From that point, how long was it till your first customer was secured, till you actually had revenue coming into the company?
So we bootstrapped this company since day one.
You didn't have any capital investment?
Zero.
Hunter's not a trust fund baby or anything like that?
No trust fund baby. We were both broke like heck. Yeah. Probably I was negative 350,000. I wouldn't even know how to come up with $1 to inject into the company.
Yeah. So you guys start out from nothing, bootstrapping the whole thing. Yeah. Like how long until you actually had that revenue coming into the company?
So we tested it out, obviously. Day one, I was like, well, how do we find clients? And I went onto the BBB and I was like, shoot, there's like 5,000 people. Yeah. So yeah, we started dialing and dialing. Within like 2 days, we had our first job.
Wait, so to be clear, you went onto the BBB to find homeowners or to find roofing companies? Like who?
To find roofing companies.
Okay. Yeah. Because primarily your customer is the roofing companies. Yep. The maintenance side, then service side is kind of more of the direct.
It's more so Russell Brunson, he's a freaking genius on marketing, right? And he wrote this book called Traffic Secrets. And Traffic Secrets says, why don't you find the clientele or find the conglomerate or people where people gather, right? And so it's like, where is the fastest path to actually generating it, right? So like right now we're about 33 or 35% directly to customers. Oh wow, which is actually much higher than we were. Yeah. So the first 4 years, first 3 years of operations, we were 100% B2B. Yeah. Like we were no customer.
Not worth wasting your time with just direct to consumer one at a time when you can work with a roofer who does, 500 roofs a year and maybe a tenth of those need detach and reset.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. So we started doing that. And so we started looking into other avenues too, right? Like who else can do it? Insurance companies, EPCs, real estate agents. So yeah, we built this network. And so basically we just pushed it out, going out to events and doing that way, right? And so we were like pretty aggressive about it. And so yeah, people were just like, where the heck did you guys even come from? Yeah. Right? Like I said, we went from a $1 million company to a $10 million company, like pretty much overnight.
Yeah. happened quickly for you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So even scaling that fast, what were some of the problems that your business encountered with that level of growth?
Oh, it was horrible. Man.
What? Growth is horrible? What? I don't get it. Walk me through this.
Oh man. So when we were in Tahiti, like this was 2 years ago now?
Yeah. So that would have, October of 2023. Yep.
Yeah. So we were in Tahiti. We were just talking, and we were putting up a confident face that we can handle more customers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could have been furthest from the truth, right? Like we were 3.5 months out, or like almost 4 months out.
So if I'm a roofer, I've got a project I need you to come detach the solar on, and I call you, you're saying, yep, we will get to that in next quarter or further. Wow.
It was bad, man. It was systems were breaking left and right. Like we were losing things. Like we did a detach and we weren't sure like when the reset was going to be done. Like a system would need a troubleshoot and it would get lost in the CRM. We would never find it. Right.
Yeah.
And it was just a nightmare.
And then customers calling you back up, months later saying you never showed up, or
exactly,
my panels still aren't on.
Yeah. And oh man, at that time we had to make this decision. It was horrible, man.
What was
the people
horrible
that were the people that were actually on the calendar already? If they were a smaller company that we haven't worked with yet, we decided to push every single one of those companies out.
You had to prioritize
our actual clients.
Your clients that bring you the most revenue, obviously you had to prioritize.
Exactly. So we had to call up these, like, man, we got so many lawsuits threatening us, and we had so many bad reviews at the time.
Wow.
We were, because, like, imagine, like, you're a guy that just sent us his first job, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, Nate, we got to push your job out 4 months.
and maybe stuck. I had already waited a couple of months at that point, and now I'm getting that call.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's hard.
Now you're like, well, you just waited this entire time, and your job was going to be done this Friday, for example. Like, today is Monday, right? Let's do it like for Friday. And we're like, dude, we got to move you back 4 months.
Yeah.
Imagine the repercussion that we got from that.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, why couldn't you get these jobs done faster? Like, what is the issue when you're scaling a company, a service company like this? Like, what are these obstacles that you run into? If anyone's out there listening who is maybe wanting to start a service industry company, what's the issue? Why don't you just hire more people, right? Like, that sounds like the obvious
finding
thing.
People.
Yeah.
So, obviously when we started October 2022, right? Like, this is when I came back. January of 2023, we only had a total of 6 or 8 people in the company. 8 people total, actually.
Wow.
Total in the whole company.
Wow.
And so you're talking 2 guys, 2 crew members, and 1 guy in the operation, and then it's me and Hunter, right? So
how often did you and Hunter actually get up on roofs and do any of the labor? Was that common in the early days at all?
No, it wasn't common at all, because like we could barely sustain the phone calls and the operation itself, right? And then we had to
you're holding down the office, and the actual business of it, and finding customers.
Oh man, when we were doing payroll back then too, like, it was all on paper. So like the guys would put their paper and they'd submit it, and they would write it down and calculate it in front. So it was just trust thing.
You had 8 people at that time. How many people does Detach Reset Solar employ today?
So we're about 104 now.
Wow.
So yeah, we at last year we were about 200 and something, but we reduced the size and became way more efficient.
Yeah.
So we went from having 2 crews in 2023. We went from 2 crews to having 27 crews.
Oh, geez.
Just in Colorado alone. That's not counting
in one
Florida.
market.
Yeah. That's not counting Texas. That's not counting California. That's not counting anything.
Wow.
Yeah, that was just in Colorado, and we were blowing up. We were breaking from the seams. Right?
Yeah.
Like, how can we keep up with them?
Yeah.
The requests that were coming in, the complaints that were coming from the guys. Like, how do we train for consistency in the field? Man, there was just so much to do, right? Like, OSHA. Oh man.
dealing with OSHA complaints and
100%.
Making sure all of you guys are certified.
Yep. And then we had to get like emergency NABCEP. We had to pay for guys to get electrical licenses. We had to go get,
These are the, often overlooked expenses of owning and operating a business.
Exactly.
Yeah. A lot of those things just go unaccounted for.
Exactly. But man, expanding at that pace, it wasn't like the hiring at that point wasn't too hard, right?
Yeah.
Because at that time, like I said, a lot of companies were going out of business already. So like to pick up their installers, it wouldn't be too hard.
Yeah.
But to find the actual pieces to do what we needed to do, like a maintenance guy, it was almost impossible to find because they're all used to, piece rate pay, and they're all used to commission that was like beyond like whatever, right? So these guys are like used to making like $150,000 to $200,000, and I'm like, well, shoot, dude, we're an 8 people company,
and this is what our offer is, and yeah. The funds didn't exist yet to be able to pay them, match their wage or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we never were able to command the power to actually be like, hey man, like you got released from this big company, like come over here.
Yeah. So how did you solve that? Like today, you've stabilized the company, you're profitable, you've cut that lead time down tremendously. Like if I called you to get, on your schedule, it sounds like it's around 3 weeks is all right now.
Yeah.
So how did you solve that? How did you get there?
So how we solved it, there's actually a really good book called Delivering Happiness. And it's by Tony Hsieh, where he faced the same issues, right? Like he ran Zappos, and Zappos was like getting all these shoe orders and they couldn't fulfill, and they were like getting all these bad complaints and all these things. And he was like, let's just change everything to be customer service friendly or customer service oriented, be in front of them, blah, blah, blah.
Focus on the customer experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was like trying to redesign it. Like what would make somebody happy? Like even 3 weeks, you think that that's long, but here's the thing is like when you first sign on a customer, like a roofing company will sign on a customer, right?
Yeah.
It's not just signing on a customer, right? It's what material do you want? What's the color you like?
For the roof, for the shingles, for everything. Okay.
Exactly. And then from there, let's file the claim with the insurance. And then what do we actually get? Is that the number that we want, or do we have to supplement for more? Or do we have to do this and do that and do whatever, right? So essentially, as soon as they sign the contract, we tell them like, hey, listen, even if you didn't sign it, but you know that you're about to get it, no big deal, right? Just send us the thing, sign the contract with us, and then we'll put you on the calendar. Once we put you on the calendar and then you are ready to go, let's say like you sign on now and your calendar day was 4 days from now, that almost seems like it just happened.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So, it's more education than anything. And that's what we've been doing, is educating the market to make themselves better even, right? Like not only are you running your own company better, because now you're like, okay, look, I have to order materials, I have to do this, I have to do that, and then I have to order the material drop date, and then after that do the detach, and then the re-roof, and then the reset, right? But yeah, we actually sped up the customer experience too for them. So like instead of them having to schedule their inspection and then sending us an inspection report that they passed and stuff, now we actually do that for them. So it's like, hey, Nate, your roof is now past inspection. Do you think we can actually come by and reset it for you? Oh,
wow. That's awesome. Taking more of a proactive approach. And also just, if I'm a homeowner, I'm busy with my day-to-day, it's maybe out of sight, out of mind that I'm thinking, oh, yeah, I got to call back up. Or if I'm even the roofer, I got to call them back up, get on their schedule. Yep. But if you look at it, you see the past inspection. You're contacting them saying, we found this, which if I'm the customer, that's a way better experience.
Yeah, way better, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we were just trying to find like all the minute details and then giving them a better customer experience.
I love that.
And yeah, essentially, everything fell into place. And then, obviously we're like, oh, well, this is lacking customer experience. How do we hire somebody for it?
Yeah.
And then we identified KPIs, right? Like who's damaging roofs more often than others.
As far as your installers.
Yeah, exactly. And then who's following procedures the best, and who's doing this and that. So we have KPIs for pretty much everything now. And so if the lead is not able to meet those KPIs or submit the photo checklist or anything like that, then obviously 1, we call them out, or 2, we let them go, right?
Yeah, you're not going to tolerate that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's impressive. Having the data first and then actually using that data to make decisions. That's something that I see a lot of companies fail at. Most of them fail in the first step. They don't have the data. They're not tracking those KPIs. They don't know that it was this crew that caused this issue. Same crew over here caused this issue. Without tracking that data, how could you ever even make any decisions? And then once you have the data, I do see other companies that have all the data in the world, and they are not looking at it to make those decisions to make their company better.
Exactly.
That's impressive that you know, even in this startup mentality, startup mode, you've been operating long enough now that you've got lots and lots of data.
Yeah, you know how they say it, right? Like they say it's an overnight success, right?
Yeah.
But they don't see like the iceberg, right? Like the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was like me working in business for 9 years.
Yeah.
And then my 10th year was the overnight success.
Right? Yeah. Every failure you've ever had, right, leads to the success for
100%.
sure. Yeah.
100%.
If you were to start the company over again today, what's one or two things that you would do differently?
Honestly, a lot of it's actually pretty genius. You know, we bootstrapped the whole thing. So like, honestly, in any starter, I recommend going B2B first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Whether you're roofing or, you know, even trying to sell solar or whatever, B2B is the fastest way to get yourself like any revenue generating.
And why is that? Why do you feel that way?
So the reason why I feel that way is businesses, like, for example, right? Like Cody Sanchez actually did a really great series on this. But she basically started with a power cleaning company, and she could have knocked doors, like,
and gone direct to consumer.
Yeah, she could have done that, right? Yeah. It's easy to do that. But basically, instead of doing that, she called Airbnb friends, people that own Airbnbs, and then they owned like painting companies and other companies that had to deal with anything, right? Like real estate transaction. Are you pressure washing your house in order to sell it? Or you make it more presentable or whatever, right?
Yep.
And because of that, like, for example, what if you hit it off with like some super powerhouse real estate agent that sold like 1,000 houses a year?
Yeah.
But I'm not saying whatever, but like
right, sure,
a brokerage firm or whatever.
Yeah.
Like imagine like 10% of that actually needing power wash.
Yeah.
Now that one brokerage firm that you just won over, instead of having to knock like hundreds and hundreds of doors for one lead, you're basically, you had that one person and they send you 100 leads.
Yep. Yeah. So it's
Right?
it's almost like going at, I mean, obviously selling the product once, selling that service once leads to some pretty predictable revenue for the company.
100%. Yeah. So like, that's why like the EPC model is like the same way, right? Like you're not selling door to door anymore.
Yeah.
You're actually selling to dealers, and then dealers then generate them and then they send them back to the EPC.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a B2B model. And then eventually, if you want to, then you can actually go directly to the consumer, like what we did, right? So we started off B2B, and then now we're about 35% to consumer. So,
So something that I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs, and I have fallen in this trap as well. You know, I've heard a lot of people say, man, if I just had $1 million, I could do X, Y, Z. You obviously bootstrapped your company and you're able to create what you created. Even if you were to go back and let's say I were to say, Hung, I'm going to give you $1 million to start this business. I want to own 50% of it. Would you take that offer? And why or why not? And what advice would you have for somebody who, you know, wants to start their own thing right now?
Yeah. So a lot of the startups that I've been into, they don't really have $1 million. So
yeah. Yep.
Bootstrapping, I believe, is like, unless of course you're like a long time business guy, then yeah, sure, whatever. You know,
Sure.
like $1 million, you can probably do some damage.
Yep.
But most of the times I feel like if you get outside money, investor money, or you're using bank money or whatever to buy a business and you don't have that experience, that's why I believe that most businesses fail actually, is because they don't have the grit to know how to do it, right? So I can't remember who it was, but they basically said it was like financial literacy, right? Let's say that you win the lotto.
Yeah.
You don't know how to allocate your money. You don't know how to invest your money. You don't know what to do to grow your money even more or anything like that. All you know is I want, right? I want a new car. I want a new plane. New boat. I want a new house, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And that's why most lottery winners, they actually just go bankrupt within like the first 2 or 3 years.
Isn't that fascinating?
And that's so crazy, right?
Millions of dollars.
Yeah, just blowing out of the water. So it's the same thing. I believe like if you have $1 million to start a business and you don't have that experience,
You don't have the financial literacy or discipline.
Yeah.
You're going to spend that money. You're going to burn it on things that, probably don't matter as much for your business.
Exactly.
Maybe you'll have a sweet office. But
It's like most people will be like, oh yeah, no, I need a website. Oh, I need let's spend $15,000 on the website. Let's spend, let's hire an executive marketer or whatever, right? Let's hire out an entire team to do all the fancy cameras.
Yeah.
You can have all that stuff, right? You can have fancy commercials, launch all these ads, spend a bunch of money, but then you don't know how to fulfill it. You don't know how to create an SOP to sustain it. You don't know how to do all these other things, right? And for me, and of course there's never just one way to do certain things. But for me, my mentality is always, I do the job first and then I teach someone else to do it. And it could slow things down, like big time. Like, for example, like I'd have to learn how to do the install before I teach someone how to do install.
Yeah.
And it can slow it down, or I can just hire an expert and do that same thing, but they're much faster because they're actually expert, right?
Yep.
But what I realized is like experts, like even guys in the industry for like 16 years, they suck.
It happens. It definitely happens.
Like they think that they know everything. They don't want to learn anymore. They put a cap on their learning. They will put a cap on like everything else, right?
They probably learned everything they know in the first 2 years and haven't,
and then they never evolved from it. Yeah. So what I realized is like, if I am from an outside perspective looking in and I see, oh man, this process doesn't work for me. That doesn't seem like it's the right way or, the most efficient way to do something. I don't want to do that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. So as far as just to even recap and summarize a little bit of that. So if I'm thinking about starting a business today, your advice is to not take on capital. And the reason is because I will learn what I need to learn for the business to be successful, even in the big picture, long run at scale.
Yeah.
In those years, by pinching every penny, by bootstrapping, by like having to get creative, be frugal, all of that. Yeah.
100%.
And I agree.
It's like, like I can get $1 million right now, but dude, the CRM that you write on the piece of paper or the payroll that we did on a notebook.
Yeah. I mean, use a whiteboard, whatever, right? Like I remember early on that, one of my solar companies, project management was on a whiteboard, then it moved to this whiteboard, then it moved to that whiteboard, right? Like we didn't have
it was bad, right?
Salesforce yet.
We didn't have anything either. Like at nighttime, our schedule was one guy like looking at how many jobs were won that day, and then they texted everybody like, hey Nate, you're going to 123 Main Street. Hey Hung, you're going to and it was really painful, right? Like luckily back then it was only like 3 or 4 jobs, right? But like 3 or 4 jobs a day is actually pretty good. Yeah. Like, and then, but what happens when like you get like to our level, right? We were doing 65 to 70 jobs a day.
Yep.
Like it's really hard.
By then you definitely have to have some systems implemented, some of those things but early on, to your point, like you didn't need that. A lot of young entrepreneurs are looking at that end and they believe they need all of those things right now to start.
100%.
And you are a testament that they do not.
No, we didn't even have a website up, right? Yeah. Like it's like, what's a website for, right? It's a info board or like a billboard or whatever. Yeah. But it's to give you legitimacy, right? That's what they say. But man, everyone has a website now.
Yeah.
It's not something new. It's not something mind-blowing.
I shouldn't trust every website that's out there and just think that company's legitimate because of it.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So, it was us having to learn like, hey, our website sucks and it's not generating any income from it.
Yeah.
To learning, what really does matter on the website, right? And we tested it, right? And we tested it and tested it and tested it. And then we're able to find out that, hey, we can run ads to it now. But, we never ran a single dollar we did run a bunch of ads before and we thought ads were a scam.
Interesting.
Right? Because we weren't getting what we wanted from the ads and we were just blowing money away. Like it was like negative return every single month on ads. But now it's like, dude, we're getting like 20, 30 ROAS.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
So for every dollar, yep, there we go. I was gonna say for every dollar you're spending on ad spend, you're getting 20 to 30 back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
So it's phenomenal, right? So
yep.
the those are the certain things, like, you know, we used to do like the whole ClickFunnels thing where you like drag and drop and, you know, just have the basic stuff, but we didn't know anything about website. Like, what's the elements of a website?
Right. So you were managing all of this ad spend yourselves. Like, you didn't hire any outside firms to do any of this, or at least early on, or?
No, early on we weren't. Yeah. Now, so our marketing is created internally, but the ads and stuff are managed by a company outside. Yeah.
Yeah. As far as deciding what to do in-house versus outsource, how do you make those decisions in your company?
So everything that I outsource, I have to first do it myself. Like, I had to run the ads, right? Like, for example, if I didn't, then I just have this one guy doing it, and I'm like, why are your ads not converting? And I don't know anything about it, right? But I had to learn real quick, what's ad fatigue? Right? It's people seeing the same ads over and over again, they get tired of it. What is like, how often do you have to change out ads? Like, how fast can you determine if this ad's working or not? Like, what's the click-through rate? Is it DMs or direct messages better than whatever, right? Or do you want to send them to a chat bot, or do you want to send them to your website, or whatever it is, right? And it depends on how much you want to educate someone, right? Like, for us, we send them all to our website, and because it's educational. And they need to know, like, all the stuff, all the components and stuff of our company. Yep. But if I didn't know anything, I'm just like, hey, Nate, do the ads for me. And you're just running the same ads.
Just taking your money, saying, got it, you're welcome.
Exactly. Yeah. And we did that for a long time. We just like throw money and we're just like, fuck, like, where's that money coming from? Yeah. Right? Like, where's that money going? I don't know. Are they doing static ads? Are they doing video ads, meme ads? What are they doing, right? Like, we don't know. And the majority of the time, like, no offense to most marketing agencies, but, you know, it's like a one-word screenshot that they took. Yeah. And it's like, solar maintenance. And then they have those descriptions that nobody reads.
Not a whole lot of creativity that goes into that.
Yeah, exactly. So then now that I know, I'm like, no, let me control the content. And then you just basically do all the targeting and all the tracking and all that stuff, right? Yeah. And so, like, it had to be somebody that... the agency that we're using now is someone that I trained.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I trained him.
You trained them in the marketing space, or just specifically for your wants, needs, desires?
Exactly. Okay. And so now he has, like, all the data analytics for us, so we know, like, where traffic's coming from, like, how the ads are performing, like, what's the conversion rate, and all the other stuff, right? But yeah, he's always thankful for me because, like, you know, he worked for my company and then he started his own agency.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, he knows exactly what I want.
That's awesome. That's a good way to do it, for sure. And I'm sure that's a huge blessing for him to be able to have a customer as good as you guys that has a decent amount of ad spend.
Yeah, exactly. To hire outside is very difficult for me.
Yeah. It's like, because of a control thing, or why is it exactly?
Exactly, 100%. Okay. Like, we don't use subs 100%, all W2 in-house, right? And don't get us wrong, we used to use subs. Like, we had over 50 or 40 subs or something like that. Right? Yeah. And majority of the time, most people just don't have the systems. Like I said, they're trained by this other guy that didn't do it the right way. And sometimes they're really big companies, right? Yeah. And so, like, their leads don't train their guys, and their guys are just learning bad stuff. Like, for example, that guy that was 16 years experience, he cut off every single MC forehead, no matter what. Every single Amphenol, every single MC forehead, didn't matter if it was, like, fried or not, and he just cut them all off. He's like, it's faster that way.
It's faster that way. Interesting.
So obviously, if you cut those things, it voids the panel manufacturer. Yeah. Warranty. Yeah. So
I wonder how many of, you know, install techs or installers worked under him. I wonder how many are doing that because he taught them to do that.
Horrible, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, like, you're wasting so much money for us. Like, you're avoiding all these warranties from manufacturers and all these things. So, dude, and then you wouldn't imagine, like, last year we probably did like 800 leak repairs. And we go underneath the attic and you see rafters being missed, like, everywhere.
All the time.
And sometimes we lift up the panels and we found out, like, the flashings weren't caulked down. Like,
oh, wow.
They didn't even put, like, sealant on anything.
Any sort of water protection to prevent water from getting into that home.
Exactly.
Wow.
And 800 in 1 year. And that's just like 5% of what the big companies are doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Like, dude, they're dealing with like thousands like in just like small markets, right? So
if you had to guess how many installs across the country, probably have a leaky roof, like just percentage wise, like what percentage do you think?
I'd say 2.5%.
Interesting.
Yeah, of their installs.
Yeah. So if I'm a solar company, I do 100 installs a month. There's probably 2 to 3 of those that are most likely leaking, even if it's just a little slow leak. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Wow. So that's a lot. That's a lot of homes out there that may not know that they have a roof leak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Like sometimes we come up there, like, so of course, obviously because of our timeline, we pull a permit and then they hire a different company to do it. Right?
Yeah.
And then when we come out there, we're like, hey, this job's already done. Like, what the heck? And they're like, oh yeah, we had to call a different company. And so we're like, dude, this is under our permit. What the heck are you guys doing? Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it almost cost us to lose our license multiple times because of that, but we had to prove it that it wasn't us. And then, obviously we had to sue the companies
that are working under your permit.
Yeah. And so, man, when we come back out there, though, we look at it because obviously it's our permit. We have to make sure that it's done right to pass inspections. And man, we're lifting up panels and they're not even secured down. Like, so they're like using deck mounts and they're using like 3 screws instead of the total 6. They're doing
just cutting corners in general.
Corners everywhere. Yeah, exactly. No wire management
to get the things, to get the systems installed faster.
Exactly.
If you're an installer, and especially if you're on piece rate, getting paid per the job or per the panel that you're laying, you have a lot of motivation and incentive to go fast.
Exactly, 100%. And that's most companies out there, right? They just want to do it fast. So yeah, man. I forgot the original question. We just started rambling.
Yeah, that's all right. You've taught me a lot. The question that I last asked was just the percentage of the failures basically that are out there on these installs, and that's
and it could be worse too, right? Like I was saying, another big company, right? Like some of the margins are like 1% margins, and so like they fell because they found out that 5-7% ended up being part of maintenance that they never occurred, right? And they didn't think about the flooding and the hurricanes and like stuff like that. Like the I don't remember what it was called. The one in California, the river rain.
I don't know.
There was a whole system where it was just like raining like crazy for like
just
a whole
week.
Just got a lot
of rain. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what they called it, but California typically doesn't rain.
Yeah.
And so when it started raining, lots and thousands
of leaks
of
were discovered.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. That happens in desert climates. All of a sudden it does rain once every couple of years, and a lot of phone calls get made from customers who are like, my roof is leaking. Yeah,
exactly.
It 100%. Happens. Yeah. So there's a lot of problems that are out there that homeowners don't even know about. These storms can sometimes expose those. You estimate that between 7 or more % of the revenue that comes in for that job should be allocated towards ongoing service for those. And I dare say that very few of the solar installers are allocating that much or doing that correctly. So
right. 100%.
It's creating an imbalance that somebody's going to need to service those customers, and there's going to be more and more opportunity for growth for your company, which is ultimately a positive thing. You get to be the good guy who comes in and helps these customers. Solar has had a lot of negative press in the last year. A lot of, it's a newer industry, a lot of regulation things coming into the industry. It's cool to have a business that is helping those customers who have had the problems,
Yeah. And, the thing is most people, like I said, they don't care about compliance.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that we 100% dive into.
Compliance.
Is if there's more red tape, the happier we are, right?
Interesting.
We don't want to have those people that just do all those bad jobs.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately it's good business practice for you. Like obviously there's the side of the customer having the right experience. That's just we know that this generates more business. The more you take care of customers, the happier they are. They become your raving fans. That leads to more business. There's that side of it. But you are offering a warranty to these customers on your work, like just in business sense for yourself, to not have to go back out, have to file an insurance claim if your guys mess up, things like that. So I know that you guys take training very seriously. You take your guys being up on the roof. You are sure that they're doing the things the right way. And that's something that a lot of business owners in this space right now couldn't say.
Yeah.
So that's something to definitely be proud of. 2025, anything you have to look forward to this year? Like what's maybe some goals? What do you have coming down the pipe this year?
So this year, like I said before, we're wanting to expand into 3 more markets.
So you've got a few more markets.
Yeah. I want to make sure that, so before, we were bootstrapping so bad.
Yeah.
That sometimes we would just like get a rental and send the guys out there.
Yeah. Rather than have like a dedicated office warehouse space.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of want to build it out the right way this time, right? Like going out there, having maintenance guys, inspection guys that can pull permits, guys that can do like, the actual work, sales guys, maintenance, operations, everything is all in one spot. Right? Instead of, oh shoot, we got to scramble to find this guy. Oh, let's just fly him out from this place.
Yeah. And I'm sure there will be a little bit of that always, even when, at least in my experience, when I believe I have planned for everything, often there's 1 or 2 things that I was like, oh yeah, that's one.
There's always, yeah.
Right. And that's part of, building and growing a business is learning how to scramble and solve those issues when they do arise.
100%. 100%.
But now you have learned from past experience, you know how to get in there, do it much more efficiently than.
Yeah. The way that we actually became so efficient was actually something that Sam actually taught me. He said, dedicate one person in your company to be a problem finder.
Interesting.
Here's the issue is most people don't want problems. They're like, don't come up to me with problems. Come up to me with a solution. Right. But how can you come up with a solution if you never knew the problem in the first place? Right. So sometimes people would try to so here's my annoyance with employees. Sometimes it's like, let me try to figure it out. And then they spend a week on trying to figure it out. And you're like, why didn't you just bring this to me?
I could have told you the answer and saved us all a week.
Yeah. And then you just wasted an entire week just trying to find this one little answer when it was so simple. I was just like, dude, you just need to know this or
whatever the answer may be. Yeah.
Yeah. And so having one person dedicated to finding problems has been the game changer. You
guys have implemented that advice and you have problem finder inside of your company.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a problem finder, which is customer service.
Yeah, they do hear it all.
Yeah. Yep. And then problem solver, right? So.
I love that. That's some sound advice. Any other pieces of advice that have really impacted the way that you've run your business, or any other principles by which you run your business?
No, that's pretty much it, really. Like customer friendly, like customer facing, no matter what, is the biggest advice.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I've learned in this space as well. Installers are up on roofs and they often believe that the homeowner cannot hear them and they're up there saying things. So if you just always have that mentality, the customer is watching, what would I be doing for the customer if they're watching, then you're going to have a much better experience.
100%. But yeah, I guess there's one more. Compliance, right? Like most people are just like, oh, I can just do the job and get it done and call it a day. But there's more to doing it the right way than just to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was something that you said earlier, but yeah, once you do it right, then you won't have to worry about your warranties and stuff.
Right. Exactly.
But same thing with like, let's say you're buying an impact gun, right? Let's say that you buy something from Craftsman versus something from Milwaukee or DeWalt or whatever, right? The Craftsman thing is like a DIY homeowner, it's not meant for industrial use.
Yeah, not for everyday heavy usage. Yeah.
And I remember when I first started, I was in construction. I used to do that. I was like buying stuff from like Harbor Freight, and like every week we would go there and
replace
exchange it.
buy another one. Yeah.
Exchange it, buy a new one. Yeah. It's like one time we did it like 7 times in one day. And I was like, dude, what if we just buy like an expensive one? And so we bought the Milwaukee Impact, and I was just like, dude, this thing helped us finish this job in like an hour. Like we spent a whole day doing that one thing. Yeah. Because we kept having to run out to the store.
The lost time of revenue, and opportunity costs of needing to run to the store and buy the thing again and 100%. Get back. Oftentimes by then the crew's like, well, it's already 4:00, so we're heading home. We'll take care of that tomorrow. Now you've got another job that just got pushed,
Exactly. Yeah. And then you have to find some space for it and all these things. But like, just doing it right the first time, like, equipping your maintenance crew with the right tools, right? Like having every single one equipped with critter guard, having every single one equipped with PV wire, every single one equipped with ground wire or bonding materials or mids and all these things. That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Because if we're like, oh yeah, we went over there and we forgot that mid, and that's why it doesn't look level. And we got an extra one right here.
Yep, there you go. Have you ever heard the saying, buy once, cry once? That was one that I like to use that for my expensive hobbies, especially when I'm justifying a purchase to my wife. I'm like, well, I could just buy this one time, and the pain of it, buy once, cry once. Like, versus I could buy this cheaper one, but then I'm going to replace that in a year anyway. And,
and then cry more times.
Exactly. And then it's like the pain of buying it over and over and over again. So yeah, I have adopted that for my hobbies. At least I've adopted it for justifying my larger purchases.
I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, you can use that as a company motto. Buy once, cry once. Like, just do it right the first time. Just get the thing that you actually need versus this tool that I think I can get by with or whatever that might be.
100%.
So, I love that. Well, Hung, I won't take up any more of your time. I appreciate the interview. There's a lot of awesome nuggets in there, and I look forward to seeing what you and your partner Hunter end up doing in 2025. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's been fun.